Hello and welcome to my Traptrix deck profile analysis and explanation of the new structure deck and how it's going to benefit pre-existing players, new players, and what it has to offer in general, and what you can gain from the structure deck. So starting off, the deck originated 2014 and has now had a mass wave support down the line now, and it's now gained quite a lot of interesting new features, cards, and strategies that the deck can work with now. As a whole, the structure deck contains some very useful staples, such as a reprint of Ash Blossom, evenly matched kaijus such as Kadala and Kamungus, and of course the Mech Knights, Raigeki, Harpy's Feather Duster, all very desirable cards from new players and even pre-existing players who don't actually have access to these cards and have now just been given access to these cards at a very reasonable price. So we'll get into what you could do with 3 of these structure decks. The idea of the structure deck, you get 3 of them. You got a play set of every card that you need. Sometimes you get multiples, but still you can build a deck out of them. And what's brilliant about this structure deck is I would argue that you are given straight out of the bat a decent, really good rogue / tier 2, maybe even tier 1 strategy if it's, you know, developed enough going into the coming format. But with the structure deck, you get Rudica. This searches the new field spell, which gives you an extra normal summon, and it can also recur back from the grave. So when it is recurred back from the grave, you get to banish a card on the field, which is super strong and powerful. It is a very good addition to the strategy. Momelo. This is a old one, but it searches all the traps for the deck. Again, mandatory, really good. And Mantis searches all the monsters that you need for the strategy. So you've got like a nice amount of starters for the deck here, which give you access to all the cards that you're going to need. Traptrix Arachna Camper. This is an extender, and it also protects the trap cards that you have set. So that now you can aggressively go into the ranks that the Traptrix have, and even go into some of the more aggressive link plays. Especially, like, you can go into multiple Serras each in a turn if one is just negated on the spot. So it's more like the speed of the deck has gone up incredibly just because of these extenders. Dioneer. This recurs the traps, and when it is normal summoned, it reborns a Traptrix from the grave. So again, like, the board presence of the strategy has just gone up. And Vesiculo, it's another extender, another summon by sending a trap, but that doesn't really matter too much because you either get the trap back, recur it, or even just search another one. It's fine. So quite a lot of monsters in terms of its previous lineup. Tantalizing Tune, good draw power. It can discard a trap. It can discard one of the Traptrix, so you can load the grave up and then use one of your starters, or even just like an extender to like abuse the advantage that this is giving just by loading your grave up. So again, like free draw power that's built in. Garden. We only play 1, can play 2. It gives you another normal summon, but because Pudica searches the field spell and is so free in general, you don't really want more than 1, in my opinion. Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster, just having access to these in your main deck, so if you're forced to go second, you don't have a lot of board breaking tools that are given off the bat, but just having these in your arsenal in general, like it's going to help you be it's going to help you go second, like if you're forced into that position, even though this is predominantly a go first deck, but it also has like really decent OTK potentials, or even just like board breaking at the minute. For the traps, Holotea, sorry if I'm butchering these names, but this trap is insane. It's a free summon, so like Brigadine, but it also like gets your combos going. So you like if it'll trigger Sarah because it's a whole card. So then you get a special summon which generates tons of advantage, and then its second effect, you can like, because it's only one effect per turn, it's not completely broken, but you can also reborn one of your Traptrix from grave and just restart your plays just by banishing it. So it's a really good combo piece to the deck, which again, traps in combo pieces is just not heard of very often. Terrifying Trap Hole Nightmare, which I believe is the new one, or it's a pretty decent card. The reason going for two, so Gravediggers, Floodgate, and Traptrick. So the idea is that you have a Traptrick engine available to you as well in the structure deck, so you can gain access to the whole traps so much easier through Traptrick. You can play 3 if you want to, but the idea is that you can aggressively set up the traps that you're missing. But like in a more modern strategy, you probably wouldn't play the Traptrick engine, because again, you can search all of these trap cards, but like as a starting player or somebody who's picking this deck up, if you just have the availability to play Traptrick, it's gonna speed up the rate in which you get the traps, or even just improve the spread of traps you have. It's a really good staple. And obviously Shade Brigadine, which is good for the strategy, because you can go into things like Time Thief Redoer if you can pick one up, or just it gives you that free body for a rank 4 play. Sadly, you can't go into the links because it is a warrior, but you can put it underneath the ranks. And then obviously 3 Ash Blossom and 3 Evenly Matched. Again, being able to go second and having the availability of this board breaker, especially as it's so relevant this format, it's insane. Like it is amazing that you have access to this in the structure deck, and Ash Blossom in particular is obviously a very good hand trap to have just in general. We have 3 Pengu. This is another rotor, and if your opponent's cards leave through either like the card effect, or if they're destroyed by a card effect, you can just keep attaching this. And the idea is that this is unaffected by traps and monsters that monster types that are underneath it. So obviously if you've got a monotype strategy and you constantly keep putting their cards underneath this, it's just going to become more unoutable, like the bigger it gets, like the more materials it has. And it's obviously it's really beefy in general because it's 2/5 beat stick, so it's really good. 3 Rafflesia. Activating trap cards from the deck is a silly mechanism, and it obviously is a lot more abusable now with this strategy, because you can swarm the field full of monsters, and you can just like have both of these out and use them to your advantage. And using Rafflesia, you get to pick which trap hole you want to use. If you are playing the Traptrick version, you can obviously get a hole that you want, and then you can use Rafflesia for a hole that is also really good as well, if need be, and it cannot be destroyed by battle, which is again really good. Alameris doesn't really crop up much, but it is a free reborn. You don't really want to play too many of this, but it is a decent extender, especially if you're in a grind. You can reset all the plays again, so can't overlook it. And then probably the best reprint in this, Traptrix Sarah, for the strategy. Having access to this, like a lot of structure decks haven't had access to their main sort of core of the deck, and Serra is that, because you could plus not only off activating Traptrix monsters, but also activating Hold Traps, and with the new Hold Trap, you can proc this effect as well, so you're basically going +2 every turn, and that includes your opponent's turn as well, because you're going to be activating Hold Traps during their turn, you're going to be activating Traptrix monsters during their turn, and your field's just going to be building and getting more aggressive as the game progresses, and it's just a very nasty card in general in terms of the strategy. Talaria, it's a very good addition to the strategy. This isn't a new card, but it does turn all of your hull cards into a recurring resource. They just set themselves back, so it's very similar to Scrap Iron Scarecrow, except it's good. And then in the end phase, you can reborn one of your Traptrix back in defense. So you can't reborn the links, which is quite annoying, but again, resetting the plays and having access to all these new extenders, you're abusing the link strategy to an extent that hasn't been used or even seen in this strategy. And then Adipus, I think its name is. I think this one is new, which is it negates monsters on the field equal to the amount of insect and plants that you have. So again, this is a pseudo Dark Ruler no more. It doesn't target, and then if you have a normal trap in your grave, you can banish it and then destroy a monster your opponent controls. And also, this gives all your Traptrix monsters 1,000 boost while it's on field, and you have a normal trap in your graveyard, which may not believe it or not, but it really does help with the OTK. You can easily get over 8,000 on field with this new strategy and how easily it swarms. So obviously I'll be making a profile of a more modern and I'd say a more suited competitive version, especially to this format. But again, like, just with what you get out of these 3 structure decks, it is insane what you're given. You near enough have all the things that you require in order to play the main strategy. It's just a few extra things that can give it that extra boost, and it turns it into a ridiculously good rogue strategy. So, thank you very much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts, opinions, and comments you have on the deck, how you like to play the deck. I obviously like talking to people in the comments. Please like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, and thanks for watching.